Oddities. Welcome to another episode of Midnight Curiosities. I am Curator Raquel.
And I'm Curator War Beauty.
Coming at you live from the moon today.
You know, speaking of the moon, did you see that we can now download all
The
of
moon?
No, we can. What?
I thought you were going to say we could download the moon.
No, we can download, speaking of the moon, all of the paranormal, like, alien UFO documents from the Pentagon.
Yes, you have been on about this all week.
Yeah, the CIA released all their files.
And it wasn't even newsworthy.
Sad, right?
Pretty sad.
Because now, yeah, so by the by, you can now download all of those.
Yeah, everybody should go check it out. They have all kinds of information on aliens and UFOs and all kinds of fun stuff.
It's mostly just sightings, like official government sanctioned sightings, and so it's actually kind of dry, but
What did you expect coming from the CIA?
that's fair. That's fair.
Have they ever released something just super fun and exciting?
Apparently not, because they can't even make UFOs exciting.
That's a shame. That is a great and terrible shame.
So everyone head over, check it out. You can just Google it.
This episode's sponsored by the CIA.
Sponsored by the International Galactic Federation.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true at all.
Did you hear that Israeli general who came out and said, "You don't."
I'm proud of him.
Right. So so for those who aren't tracking on the alien scandals, I'm gonna update you. A couple months ago, an Israeli general came out and said that the U.S. and Israel have been in contact with a United Galactic Federation for years, since the 50s or something like that. And he says that they've been hiding it from the public, but we've actually been in contact with this Galactic Federation for a long time.
That's amazing.
He said that in an interview.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah, that was, it was a few months ago, but it feels like 100 years, so.
Wow. That's great. I love that for us. I'm glad we've been in contact. I'm glad we have a good rapport going.
Apparently we don't have a good rapport, and the reason they haven't shown themselves to everyone, and the reason that the governments haven't released this information, is because they feel Earth is not ready to handle the responsibility.
And they are right about that.
So, it could be true. I guess they aren't really wrong.
They are right about that. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is not an alien episode.
No, I just wanted to keep everyone abreast of the situation.
And that's important, stay in tune with what's going on.
Stay informed.
In the world. Yeah. But no, we're not talking about aliens today. We're actually talking about, aliens is kind of a good segue, because that's something that a lot of people do doubt. And today we're talking about skeptics.
We are going to talk about skeptics.
Yeah.
Good old skeptics.
Right, because a lot of the things that we talk about are skepticized pretty heavily, I would say.
Skepticized.
Yeah, I was hoping you would just breeze past that one. What is the word for that?
Wow, my brain just all it hears is skepticizes now.
Skepticized, yeah. A lot of the things that we talk about are criticized. And yeah, there's a lot of skeptics out there about a lot of things. People love to doubt things, and
right.
People love to raise their questions.
Right. So remember how in the Nostradamus episode,
yes,
we spoke about how Nostradamus slammed several notable astrologers in his own works. So we're gonna do that here. We're gonna slam.
Oh my gosh, is this a Skeptic Slam episode?
Skeptic Slam Hour.
Oh, I love that.
No,
okay,
so there's one skeptic who I'm gonna low key slam him, but not really.
You're starting out with a big one?
No, we're not gonna start with him, but I just want to prepare everyone that I will be slamming a very famous skeptic who recently died. Stay tuned, because it's a controversial hot take on why I think his opinion is stupid.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about skepticism, in general?
Sure. So, for those who don't know what skepticism is...
Well, it's not so much people that don't know. Everybody kind of knows what skepticism is. It's just doubting something.
Right.
But it's generally tinged with, a negative flavor, a negative connotation. But I don't think that skepticism in general is a bad thing. I think it's good to question things. It's good to search for answers of your own. I see no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Skepticism really, and when you're working in the occult, in the paranormal, in the divine, the otherworldly, the spiritual, religious,
which we do,
which is what the purpose of the show is, skeptics are something we come across frequently, and a lot of people are skeptics. So we deal with skeptics a lot in our way of life.
Yes, lifestyle.
In our life, that's the word. In our lifestyle.
Or in our business, in our practice.
Sure. And so I think one of the really poignant things to remember is that skepticism is actually great. I'm a skeptic myself. I'm a huge fan of skepticism. I'm a big skeptic, and I think that people should have some amount of skepticism when approaching the psychic, the paranormal, the occult, the divine, because what that shows is that you are using critical thinking skills.
You're a big fan of those things.
I love me some critical thinking skills.
She does.
But it shows that you're using a critical thinking mind, and you're coming from a critically thinking skill set to approach something that doesn't necessarily have a tangible form. And you should do that, because that's how you keep from being led astray. It's how you keep from being fooled by charlatans. Great word, by the way. Charlatan. Love it.
They've heard you say it enough.
Good. I'm going to keep saying it.
They know that you like that word.
Listen, it's better than my other words that I love. Heretics, blasphemers, and sacrilege.
Okay, can we take a quick moment? On Halloween, our niece came to us and said that she had been bullied by her schoolmates. And War Beauty sat her down and said, "This is what you say to them next time they bully you. This is heresy and sacrilege, and I will not stand for it. Plus, you're breaking Jesus' law and making him sad."
I did say that.
You did.
I told her to call them
all of that to an 8-year-old.
I did.
And then you and I both spent the rest of the night telling her how exactly to say heresy and sacrilege.
She got it, though.
She got it. Nailed it.
Apparently, she didn't do it, though.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. It's 8-year-olds. You gotta balance it out.
So yeah, War Beauty absolutely loves heresy and sacrilege.
I do.
Concept or the words?
Both. I love them both, not because I'm committing them, but because it brings my zealous paladin heart joy when other people commit them, because then I can wield the power of whatever.
Boner.
Yeah, I can wield my paladin boner, essentially, and whatever God I see fit to bring against you for your crimes. So good.
So yeah, skepticism is not a bad thing. I think that everybody should approach any sort of mystical, divine, religious, any sort of anything with some degree of skepticism, because, blind faith isn't doing you any favors.
No, and that's why I really do like skeptics, and I like people who are skeptical. They're much more interesting to have conversations with, frankly.
They are.
They ask really good questions. And if you're someone listening and you fall into the occult or psychic or paranormal or kind of religious context of our show, if you're someone who is those things, skeptics they kind of hold you accountable. They're a huge accountability check, and that's major.
Yeah,
for our line of work, because what we deal in, especially when you're dealing with like mediums contacting departed loved ones, there are so many people who are desperate for closure, for answers, for comfort, and there are so many charlatans out there
that will take advantage of that.
Who take advantage of that, and that's disgusting. That's unethical, and it's inappropriate conduct and practice for anyone who is truly gifted in the psychic way. So here's where I disagree with skeptics, though. And here's where I think skepticism has become such an integral part of our society that it is now toxic.
I agree with that. I think that a certain amount of skepticism is good and healthy and smiled upon, encouraged. Even.
Sure.
I was trying to think of the opposite of frowned upon. So I said smiled upon. But there is a certain point where some skeptics live their lives with no element of mystery and magic, and there comes a point where you do have to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit to embrace things that aren't natural.
See, even that, I actually don't agree with that.
Really?
Yeah, I actually don't agree with that assessment because I think the reason that modern skepticism is toxic is because it is bordering into science denying. And just the way skeptics feel that someone who's a Jesus freak is being blindly led off the cliff, and chances are very good that they are, your skepticism is blindly leading you off the other cliff.
Oh my God, there's 2 cliffs?
There are 2 cliffs, and
no.
you're both being led off of them.
Oh no.
And that's my biggest beef with a lot of really famous skeptics is that it is toxic and it is science denying, and it doesn't promote the education that we do need to promote in order for people to have a healthy relationship and mentality with this other experience, essentially.
I don't know, man. When I think of skeptics, I just think of really sad people who have no magic in their lives.
We're actually going to talk about one who had a lot of magic in their life. And this is the one I'm going to low-key slam because I actually disagree with his opinion and I think it's dumb.
All right. Well, since you're so excited about this guy, let's talk about some skeptics then, just in general.
Okay, well, you tell me about your skeptic first, because I'm going to go on a rant about my skeptic.
You are going to go I can see you. You're, like, leaning back. She's, like, leaning back from the mic right now, like, ready to pop off.
Yeah.
Because she knows she's about to get loud. So I wanted to talk about Susan Gerbic? Something like that.
Sure.
She is a famous skeptic in modern times.
Right.
Her little mission of sorts is to bring down, as you said, the fake people.
Right.
People that are taking advantage of others and people that are lying about their supernatural abilities.
Right.
So she led this kind of like sting operation type deal about celebrity psychics and mediums. And it became this whole big like scandal of a lot of the mediums would be looking at like Facebook pages ahead of time to like make their spooky, scary predictions or whatever, you know?
Right.
And they were lying about that, and she exposed them for that. And now she has like a whole team of people that do it. They're like, she has like 145 members. That's a lot of people.
It wasn't that long ago she did that.
The article that I was reading was from like 2019.
Yeah, that was really recent. They went undercover and exposed a bunch of quote-unquote celebrity mediums and psychics.
Yeah. And they're still on it, man. They're still on that mission. They exposed some like clinic down in Texas that was claiming to cure cancer. They're not just like supernatural skeptics. They come from anybody, man.
Right.
I hope they come for us.
Yeah. How can you come for people who agree with science? See, this is my problem with skeptics is they are bordering and they are edging closer every article I read. And every year, edge closer and closer into straight science denying. And it's dangerous because there are so many people out there who are not psychic, who are not paranormal, who are not occult, who are not this or that, but are really performing these, what we conceive as incredible acts of something we don't understand. But that's because we don't have technology sensitive enough to understand it. And if you want to debate me on this, because now I'm heated. Can you hear it?
I can see it.
Because if you want to debate me on this, that's fine. But all I'm going to point you to is look at the work that the Super CERN, that the Collider and CERN is doing. Look at that particular work that they're doing with atomic particles, and then sit there and tell me that none of this is real. We simply do not have the sophistication to test it, and we get closer to it every single day. There's actually an Italian doctor who, in China, with a Chinese team... Oh no, we're popping off now because skeptics...
You didn't even make it to your skeptic.
Oh, we're going to get to him too, don't worry. But there's an Italian doctor who is practicing in China currently because the rest of the Western world thinks this guy's a kook, but they have successfully done full nervous system transplants.
Whoa.
Yeah, they were scheduled to do it in 2018 with a live human, but it didn't go correct. Now, I've since read back up on him, and they're saying that the procedure may or may not work in a human. They're not sure, but it has been successfully done in orangutans.
That's crazy.
Now, every single orangutan, let me just clarify, every single orangutan had to be humanely euthanized. But humanely, I don't know how far that actually goes, but let me just tell you what the article said.
Sure.
Or what the journal said, is that they were euthanized afterwards, but that the surgery was in fact successful. They did successfully do an entire nervous system transplant. That's bananas.
That's wild, bro.
Right. So when, just because it doesn't work perfect yet, we're 3D printing organs that are functioning and saving human lives instead of having people wait for donors. I bet you people don't even know that we're 3D printing. Sorry, it's heating. It's upsetting because, again, totally agree with being skeptic. Don't be led blindly, but don't deny the science. And ultimately, at the end of the day, psychic phenomena, religious phenomena, paranormal phenomena,
it's just science you don't
is just
yet.
Science you don't understand. And consider this too. You don't understand it. There are scientists out there who do understand it, which is my problem with skeptics who go around and try to debunk all of these people because, again, a lot of them are charlatans. Most of them are selling you snake oil. Most of them could not tell you for the life of them how they have their gift, how they do what they do, why they do what they do. Could not tell you. But there is an entire world of science out there that can tell you why. And if you can find somebody that consciously not only understands the science and psychology behind how they're able to manipulate their brain at this level, you can find someone who can not only prove that they are quote unquote psychic, but can prove it repeatedly. And then my other problem.
That's just the scientific method.
That's right. You just use the scientific method. Now, see, let's get into him.
Okay.
Right.
Oh my gosh, y'all, she's pointing at me. I'm not a fan.
I'm sorry. It's really heating because, again,
it's upsetting when people deny science in general because we as a human race, we have done all of this work to get better and better at science, and then you have people that just, no thanks, I'll pass. And I get the same way about anti-vaxxers and stuff like that. It's science deniers.
Well, right. But I think, to their credit, in modern culture and modern society, magic and psychic ability is considered this other thing. Mm-hmm. It's considered this supernatural, unnatural phenomena that is unexplained. So the way a lot of skeptics approach, and the reason a lot of people are hardcore science denying skeptics, mm-hmm. is because we do not respect paranormal, spiritual, and religious phenomena as sciences. And we do not look to the science experts. We don't look to the astrophysicists and the physicists and the biologists. And we don't look to the psychiatrists and psychologists. We don't look to the experts in these fields. And we do not blend and culminate all of these fields together to get a big understanding picture of what's actually going on with us, our relationship to the earth, to each other. It's all based in atomic particles or particles down to electrons, neurons, protons, and everything is an energy exchange and how that all fits together. You really have to understand the sciences, even if you don't, I'm not a physicist. I don't understand complex, insane physics. I don't understand robotics and engineering.
You don't understand math.
I don't understand math. That's fact, you guys. That's a big fact. But you don't have to have a deep, intimate understanding of these things to understand how they play their part in all of this. All you need to really comprehend is how they play a part with you and your physical body. And that means you have to understand biology. And that's a big problem too, is so many people do not understand chemistry and biology and basic physics. None of that. So they get these grand ideas, and then you have skeptics that are born, like the one I'm going to talk about.
Please,
now.
Can we talk about this guy?
Okay,
right, I'm ready.
I'm sorry.
For it.
I'm popping off. All right.
I'm ready for this guy.
So, if any of you follow, he actually was publicized a little bit because he just passed away in October of 2020. He just passed away, and he was a big inspiration for a lot of people. His name is James Randi. So James Randi is a famous magician and skeptic of the paranormal, and he had this challenge. So most people only know James Randi for his magician, and he was on Penn and Teller, and he would debunk other magicians and all kinds of stuff. But he was really famous for having this $1 million paranormal challenge. Basically,
Okay. $1 million paranormal challenge?
yes.
That sounds like he wants to get haunted.
Okay, well, he was trying to prove that that wouldn't happen. So the $1 million paranormal challenge is he would invite anyone with any paranormal ability. Any ability. It could be dowsing rods. It could be any psychic abilities. It could be levitation. It could be anything. Pick your thing. What's your talent? Contacting the dead, guessing cards, whatever your talent was. And you had to do your gift 2 times. The first time could be in your area of expertise with your parameters, like just doing it normal. But the second time, in order to win the challenge, you had to prove and get the exact same results, or as close to it as you possibly can. You had to get those results in a sterile scientific environment with nothing.
Did anybody ever win his challenge?
No, it's still the challenge was never won. Now there were several who got close and came real close to it, but no one could pass the challenge satisfactory in the scientific half. For the few that made it there, because most didn't even pass the preliminaries.
The preliminaries being doing it on your own terms?
Right. Most people couldn't even pass the preliminary tests. So, the few that did make it to the scientific round and the sterile environment round never won.
Okay, this will be a fun game. What would you do?
What would I do to pass the James Randi test?
What would you do to win the $1 million paranormal challenge?
Okay, well, see, I actually would never partake in that challenge because, well, no, but here, this is what makes me upset about this. So James Randi was he's a controversial figure because he went out of his way to debunk. And this is why I think James Randi, and here's my hot take on this, a lot of you going to disagree.
Oh, boy.
Well, no, I think he's a science denier. Because he did all this in the name of saying, well, science can prove this and science can prove that. But again, I think his skepticism was so toxic towards the end that his idea of how to recreate, say, levitation is...
Chris Angel can do that.
Except he debunked that. Except James Randi debunked Chris Angel, but that's fine.
I saw Chris Angel live in Vegas.
Did he levitate?
He did not.
I didn't think so.
It was after his Cirque du Soleil's. He did a bit with Cirque du Soleil for a while, and so when I saw him was after that. So his show was half super goth and edgy and half Cirque du Soleil, and it was really weird.
Chris Angel, Mind Freak du Soleil.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what it was, and it was a wild one.
Well, so James Randi debunks all kinds of guys like that, and the reason I would never participate in that challenge is because I think his biggest flaw is he either knew it and never came out and said it and admitted it, but he's written lots of books extensively on this skepticism subject and on God and the belief in God and why he thinks it's silly and kind of being an atheist.
Bro, why is this guy an expert? Who made him an expert on all this stuff?
Himself.
Yeah, see, I'm not into that.
Well, but here's my beef with him is that he completely discounts real science at the end of the day. So sure, am I saying that the person who claimed to be able to know what card was in what blind envelope and all these things? No, I mean, probably no. They probably can't do that. He's probably totally correct. And he has been until his so they actually don't offer this prize anymore. That challenge ended in 2015, I found out.
Oh no.
So you can't get it anymore, but he did offer it till from 1998 or something like that, or 1989, something like that. Because no one could ever pass it.
That's sus.
Well, he got sued a lot too. But my problem is, and a lot of people can be, well, if it's science, they should be able to replicate it in a scientific.
That is a valid argument.
Sterile setting. No, it's not. It's not a valid argument because it shows a lack of understanding of biological sciences.
Well, I mean, if it follows the scientific method.
No, okay. Biology does not necessarily follow that. And so this is what a lot of people do not take into consideration and I think is foolish. And this is where the science denying comes in, is that if I have to read your mind, okay, let's say simple. I'm going to read your mind. I have to take into account I might get lucky. Sure. But if I'm removed from an environment where I can kind of manipulate and control the situation to the exact parameters I need in order to accomplish this feat, when you remove that from me, being hungry changes the entire situation because it's the way your brain fires off everything. So if you sneeze, you've already changed the parameters of the experiment. This is what really kills me is nobody ever accounts for biology. You know, if I have a diseased cell and I have a healthy cell, that healthy cell is not going to be able to replicate that diseased cell unless you put it under the exact conditions that it needed to be in to be that diseased cell. You can't be like, you need to make this disease, literally this exact same diseased cell, perfectly replicate it right here in the environment it became diseased. And then I'm going to put it in a sterile environment and you have to replicate that.
Right.
It's impossible. That's science denying, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't see it that way because they don't respect psychic phenomena and psychic senses as an extra sort of like outer body sense that everybody possesses from the second they're born. It's not respected. Therefore, people are like, oh, well, you can't do it. No, you just aren't respecting the fact that biology literally plays a factor. Think of how many thoughts go through your head in any given moment.
Zero.
None. Real easy.
No thoughts, head empty.
Yeah. But think about you're sitting in a room, okay, in a sterile white room. Someone's sitting across from you. They tap their pen. Instantly, your entire thought train has changed because you heard a sound and your brain is now firing new things. And it's like, pen tap sound. Make sound in head. Man tap pen. Fascinating. That instantly already changes the parameters of the experiment. And it's unfair to real people who can really use these talents and gifts because, it's rigged literally against them. Because it's based in non-understanding of how psychic phenomena really actually works and how you need to approach it mentally. And that's my rant. That's my hot take on James Randi and why I think he was wrong and his opinion is stupid.
Good. I love that for you.
Thank you. He also wrote this book about.
I thought you were done.
Nope. No, we're gonna keep going for a second.
Okay.
He also wrote this book about. Basically, he said he was an atheist. So ultimately, what this came down to for him was, he says, I'm an atheist because... So he says there are two types of atheists. Let me preface this. He says there's the atheist that doesn't believe in a deity, period. And he says that's the wrong kind of atheist.
Oh.
And there's the type of atheist he is that doesn't believe in proof of deities. But
Isn't
doesn't...
that what agnostic means?
Nah, agnostic is kind of like, I guess. I don't know if there
My
is. My
understanding of agnostic is that they do believe that there's deities out there, but they're too much for us to understand.
No, so James Randi, I think he doesn't believe in deities at all, but the reason he is more like...
So he's his own wrong kind of atheist?
Kind of. But I think the reason he did that, and he came out and said, was that there's the burden of proof on both sides of the fence. Prove to me God exists, and I have to prove to you God doesn't exist. Neither of us can prove that. So we have to be stuck in this limbo together. And I'm like...
It's just a sad life. Like, it makes me upset because, just like, believe in magic. Enjoy things. Just enjoy things in life. It's not that hard.
I agree. You people should just,
Just enjoy things.
Just enjoy it, guys. Just have fun. Enjoy things. Don't overthink a lot of things. But, again... Skepticism is
do be critical.
Healthy. Have critical thinking skills.
Critical thinking, but also just enjoy things. Don't make it so hard.
Well, I agree with that. And that's where I've always agreed. I've always stood there in that I don't understand why people have to be so critical for no reason. But
I don't
know. Again, don't be led astray, but don't be
like the search for knowledge and wanting answers and scientific curiosity. But when it comes to a point where it's just like all consuming and you don't see the magic in the little things anymore, then that's just like it's not what life's about.
I agree. I think that, and so one of his things too was that he thought people who believed, he thinks that humans and humanity, their belief in God is like the single most disastrous thing.
Folly. The folly of man.
It's the folly of man is literally the creation of God. But
Cool.
I understand where he's coming from and why he said it. But this, again, does not promote the education that it needs to in order to promote healthy religious experience. You know, if praying to a God that may or may not exist makes your Aunt Martha happy and she lives her life and she's a good person and she's kind and she promotes the embetterment of the people around her, and she's constantly trying to improve herself and others, and we're people, we're gonna mess up, we're gonna have, quote unquote sins. But if someone is because of their belief in a God is promoting positivity and humanity and humaneness and healthy things,
what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. That actually promotes and helps us further our understanding of the sciences as well. Because now you're nurturing people, you're allowing them to think freely, express themselves, you're allowing them to think critically, you're allowing them a safe environment, which, and I hate to say safe space there, but you're allowing them a safe space to ask questions and to get answers. And who cares if the answer is some dude riding a chariot holding a flaming whip? Who cares?
Who cares?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Let them have that. Don't take that from them.
Yeah.
Because it made them a good person, and it made them
happy.
It made them a great scientist. It made them a great philosopher. It made them a great thinker. It made them a great human. And because of that, we can be better as a whole, as a society, as humanity. And this is where I think skeptics are I'm going to debunk skeptics.
They're missing the point.
They're totally missing the point, because they're so consumed in this dark abyss, essentially, of, well, it can't be true because science. Well, actually, I don't think you understand science, because if you're not mystified and enchanted by science,
you're doing it wrong.
You're probably doing it wrong. You don't have a passion for it at that point. You're just bitter and angry. And I'm sorry that you're bitter and angry, but I can't help you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not bitter and angry. I wield a paladin donor.
You're pretty angry at James Randi.
It's frustrating. I'm just frustrated. This has
been Midnight Curiosities. Midnight Curiosities is hosted by our parent company, One Eye Oddities. It says here in my notes, a new way to see magic, and that's our tagline or whatever. I want to clarify. That new way, it's science.
Spoiler warning, it's the science way.
It's science. It's a scientific way to see magic. That's what we're all about.
Right. It's about blending that healthy mentality of critical thinking with magic and real life sciences. So a new way to see magic is just using critical thinking and understanding basic scientific concepts.
I want to give a thank you to Alex Fox Chapman, who made our wonderful cover art.
Yes, thank you.
See it? It's beautiful.
It is. It is lovely.
Yeah. So it really made the image from Midnight Curiosities, brought it to life. Okay, so we got a review on Apple.
the review.
We got a review. Okay,
the dreaded
and
review.
And I want to say now, if you like what we do, please do give us reviews, because it really helps us, grow an audience, find new people, and that helps you to get a better podcast.
Also, if you think that we're full of it, I want to know.
Oh yeah, please though.
Please leave your hate mail too. This is, you don't have to. If you don't love us, even if you don't love us, I want to know. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, feedback is always appreciated. So I wanted to bring this aspect of thanking a random person that reviews us every week to kind of promote more people doing it. So I was going to give a shout out to the person that did it this week, but their username it doesn't really fit our brand, is the thing.
Okay, well listen.
Do you want to read it?
Okay.
Okay, it's this person. If you want to just shout them out, it's this one right here on my notes.
Okay, well, Ginger Edgelord 420.
Give us 4 out of 5 stars, man.
4 out of 5 stars, and that last star was probably because of room for improvement.
Always room for improvement.
Always room for. I like Ginger Edgelord 420. That's iconic. I'm also an edgelord.
I know you are.
I'm more of like
Don't I know
an
it?
edge baroness.
So thank you for leaving us a review, Mr. Edgelord. And
Stay edgy, my friend.
so yeah, if you like what we're doing, give us a review and we'll shout you out next week. I am Curator Raquel.
And I'm Curator Edgelord. I'm just kidding, I'm Curator War Beauty.
As always, don't forget to
come in oddity.
Nice.
Or an edgelord.
Or an edgelord.